mean, he wasn't just hit, he was crushed.
Why don't you let me be? Leave me alone. You start a fire inside that I could never control.
Oh my gosh!
Bang him back, boys, bang him back.
Come on and get me down. You go as far as I go. Now you're crossing the line, and I am letting you know.
Nice hit!
Well, here's your
When you're hot!
Does it get any better than that?
Good hit, good hit. That's a hockey game.
That's it, boys. That's hockey.
If you take aggression, if you take passion out of hockey, it's pretty, but it's not hockey.
As much as it looks fluid and graceful from the stands, there's an element of warrior and barbarianism involved without crossing that line.
Everybody has a little different ingredients of toughness.
You have to have a lot of heart to play this game. You look at the guys that get injured and come back and play with, broken bones, stitches bloodied up. It's a man's kind of game.
It's like any competitive sport where contact is allowed. The physical side often is used to see if they can intimidate the opposition.
There is a lot of intimidation. There is a lot of, aggression out there.
This is a very physical game. It's got bad physics. Guys are, 220 pounds. And when you add in the dimension that they can be hurt by crushing checks, you need someone whose responsibility is to make sure that doesn't happen.
A role filled by a select few.
I guess the best way for me to define the role of an enforcer is just one of those guys that maybe brings a little bit of stability to the physical element of the game. From time to time, a team will, be physically superior to another team. But if you've got a guy like that in your lineup and somebody that does that job effectively, it kind of levels the playing surface and you just go about the business of hockey.
As long as the rules are the way they are and as long as the game is played the way it's played, then it's important for every team to have at least one of those types of players.
It makes such a huge difference in the sense that guys play bigger than what they really are.
Tough guys on the ice, you don't want to have to answer that.
It's a little bit like having a deterrent. Sometimes the role of an enforcer is not just going out there and fighting. Sometimes it's keeping the peace.
But there are times when matters must be settled with action.
When you're in the middle of a game, in the middle of the heat of the battle, when it's time to go, it's time to go. You don't think twice.
The most important thing for me is when I see a player get involved in a fight, is what is the game situation? What are the circumstances for that? Is it a team fight or an individual fight? We don't want any players fighting individual fights for individual credibility.
The guys in the team understand the role that we have as enforcers, and it's not an easy role. You go out, you got to fight, you might get hurt, but you're doing it for the team.
Enforcers come in all shapes and sizes. And over the next hour, you'll meet 4 men, all tough, but all very different.
Darren McCarty, to a certain extent, probably what a lot of tough guys want to be. He stands up for his teammates, he drops the gloves, and he'll fight just about anybody. He's fearless. But at the same time, he can play.
Eric Cairns, he's huge. He's as tough as they come. He's a guy that has worked hard to, be a good, solid defenseman.
In Laperrière, he's kind of the agitator type. He likes to yap a little bit on the ice.
I don't think so.
Chirp, I guess you'd call it.
Jim McKenzie, big boy. Got a lot of respect for him. We've seen a lot of guys come and go. There's a lot of big guys that want to try him because he was one of the top, and he's still one of the top these days. And the big boy.
They have the toughest job in sports.
The guys who do it in this league are tough guys, and you know, probably the toughest guys around.
The hardest part about fighting is the anticipation.
There's no other sport that you can fight legally, and I think for the most part it keeps the game honest, and you can't do too much stupid stuff out there without having to pay for what you do.
As much as it is important to have the enforcer guy in your hockey club, it's also important for guys to just be courageous.
And at the same time, it's awful nice when you have those guys with you.
On March 25, 1990, Jim McKenzie took the ice for his first NHL game, hoping to help his team win any way he could. 14 years and one Stanley Cup later, he's still lacing up the skates and sacrificing his body for the sake of his teammates and victory.
I never fought when I was younger, and you know, you're not 12 years old coming off the bench looking to fight somebody or anything like that. You went out and played, and you pretended to be somebody else. I was always Larry Robinson. I thought he was the greatest player ever. And as you grow older, you start to realize that maybe you have a chance to do something, and it's going to come down to what are you willing to do. And when I first got called up in Hartford, I was a defenseman in the minors, and they already had 6 or 7 good defensemen, and they really didn't need me to do that. They needed somebody tough, and I just made a decision that I was going to do whatever it took to stay in the National Hockey League, because that was always my goal, is to get here. And I think it's the same way now.
Jim McKenzie's a tough kid.
But even the toughest of men can be humbled, as Jim found out when he played against boyhood idol Larry Robinson for the first time.
When I first got called up, Larry was playing with the LA Kings, and it was about my 6th or 7th game, something like that. And what I would do is, I knew my parents were watching and all my friends back home, is anytime I was on the ice and he was out there and the whistle would blow, I'd skate by him really fast and try to get in behind him, figuring the camera would be on him because he's such a great player. And then they'd see me, because hey, who knows, I get sent down the next day and never be heard from or whatever, but at least I'd have that little clip of being on the ice with Larry Robinson. So I did this 2 or 3 times, and we get into a little melee, and the whistle blew, and there's pushing and shoving and all kinds of stuff going on. So I saw him when he was out there. I come zipping in to get in behind him, and he must have thought I was coming in to grab me. He turned around, cross-checked me in the side of the head, knocked me right down on my knees. All I could hear was like bells going off and all kinds of noise. And I think I heard "Sorry Kid" or something like that in there as well, but it was worth it.
McKenzie may no longer be an awestruck rookie, but he still plays the game with the passion of youth.
It's more than a job. There's a lot more emotion that's attached to it than a job.
Boys, come on, boys. Kill this off. Get after him.
The jerseys go on. The guys that wear the same as you are your brothers, and the guys that aren't are your worst enemy, and you're out there for a simple reason. You want to win a hockey game any way you can.
I'll give you a hand with loose pucks, and I'll go to the net.
You want to be that guy that at the same time you stand up for your teammates, at the same time you're willing to get those gloves off and fight anybody and show up. You still want to be the guy that can beat somebody with your gloves on.
McKenzie, look how strong he is. Still on his feet, and now still on the puck. Here's McKenzie. Off a stick, talking, no. McKenzie shoots, more!
Watch when a tough guy scores. Every guy in the bench is up. Every guy congratulates him. Everybody has an ear-to-ear smile. And it's all because, the guy's done his job with his gloves off when he's had to do it. And now he's done something a little bit different, and the celebration's great.
With his reputation established, Jim now finds himself in a mentor role with the young Nashville Predators.
Jimmy's been around the league for a number of years, and that's why I always ask questions when I'm out on the ice, when we're on the bench.
Good job. Good work. Because there's three of them coming, 2D and you. You're our high guy because you're coming off the bench. Even though you're flat-footed, we're in behind with the 2D. We're trying to catch up. That's it. Keep going.
He's almost like an on-ice assistant coach type of thing.
Just get it in, work their D. Play down there. We had some good cycles on him last time. Just got to do a little more with it.
Sometimes when coaches talk to players, the players just hear the bad stuff that you're saying. I want you to do this, and you're not doing this, and they get a little bit defensive. They don't hear everything that you really want to say. So sometimes coming from a peer or someone who's got a lot of respect like Jim to a young player really has a tremendous value.
Try to be a vocal guy. try to make sure guys are ready.
Right from the start, boys, right from the start. Come on here, come on here.
You have guys that maybe are struggling, and you give them a pat on the back.
You ever had no confidence?
Oh, yeah. Fight through it. Try to ignore it. Keep it simple.
Or other guys that are playing well, and maybe they're nervous, especially if they're young, they're nervous about that. So you tease them a little bit.
Good player when you're skating, Marty. But when you're not, wow. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
I just think it's more about doing whatever you can to help the team in any way you can.
Come on here. Come on, Walks.
But when Jim leaves the rink, he leaves his tough guy persona behind.
He's totally different from the image that he portrays on the ice.
Must be Friday night, we're making chocolate.
I don't want to give away any secrets about my husband, but he really is a softie. He's a nice guy. He's funny. And we watch Daddy try and swim in the ocean.
Pretty funny, huh?
Yeah, which sometimes doesn't work.
No. Swim like a rock, don't I?
Yes.
He is a wonderful father.
Jim hadn't played with a toy for a long time and eagerly tried out the key. But this time, it was too big.
Hockey is what I do, but it's not who I am.
Who's a better cook, Mommy or Daddy?
Dad.
We tell the kids that this is Daddy's job, and he is protecting his teammates, and that's what he does. And he protects them and takes care of the team, and he's gonna fight people, and they see the TV and they see him fight, and that's just such a different part of Jim. It's not who he is to them, it's just what he does.
Oops.
Nice job, Dad.
I think Dad broke it. When I come home or we have a game or whatever, it's, you know, she's got things to do in the morning. You know, you still have to drive the kids to school, and we still have a life away from hockey. She's very supportive. If things aren't going well, she's right there for me. If she realizes that it's my passion, that, you know, I love this sport. I think it's unbelievable. I try to get as much out of it as I can.
Breathing fire out there.
I love being around the guys, and I love playing.
Just hoping one's going off my head, man, or something. Anything. Not so much in this area, though.
You know, there isn't a day that goes by that I'm not thankful for where I'm at.
Keep going here, boys. Keep getting better.
Ian Laperrière is beyond the position of a pest. If he catches you with your head down, he can make it hurt because he hits really, really hard. Any of the so-called skill guys that take exception to what he do and want to drop the gloves with them, he can more than handle them.
Kind of player that you love to have in your team and you hate to play against.
What are you gonna do?
Lappy is like when he plays on a team, like here, the team, he becomes the heart and soul of your team.
All right, boys, we're going here over there. Let's go!
You've always got to be wary of 22, Laperrière.
I've always been a physical player, even in junior, hitting guys.
Is not afraid to challenge the best players in the other team to be as good as they can be on a nightly basis by getting in their face and letting them know if you're going to play against me tonight and you're expecting to have any type of success, there's going to be a price that you have to pay.
You get guys who are going to pack it in when you play tough against them. They're known out there, and if you do play tough or not even fighting, you hit them or stuff like that, you talk to them.
You'll go? I don't think so. I know your game.
Try to intimidate them. It's part of the game.
Laperrière's a human bumper car. He'll hit anything and everything that moves around him. Sometimes, if he's not careful, he'll hit his own guys.
It comes with the territory. When you hit it a lot, you're going to have to back it up.
Ian Laperrière is not choosy. He just goes after the biggest guy on the other team.
You Fisher, don't jump. He's like, why do you come after me all the time?
Because you're the biggest guy out there?
At the start of his NHL career, Laperrière wasn't quite so tough a customer, doing more instigating than scrapping.
I came in as a pest with the St. Louis Blues. I didn't have to fight too much back then. You know, Tony Twist and Kelly Chase was around. When I got here in LA, Matt Johnson was there, and when he left, I had to step up for myself.
He says, I think the guys in the league are not respecting me. You know, maybe I don't drop my gloves enough. He said, I think I'm going to have to drop them more just to make sure the guys respect me around the league.
Ian Laperrière leads the National Hockey League in fighting majors, so he's not afraid to back up that kind of play and stir the pot.
If somebody challenges one of our skilled players and does something that's not within the limits of the game, Ian will step up and answer for our team.
And Laperrière, that's his job. He goes and tries to settle the score.
Lappy's a guy who's got a great deal of respect around the league. Always willing, anyone, anytime, anywhere. It's not the major part of my job, but it is something I gotta do, and I feel I need to do, and I'm fine with that.
But that hell-bent style can take its toll.
The way we play finish checks, and maybe sometimes doesn't look like it hurt, but it does hurt. And you start feeling your knees or shoulders, every part of your body.
One part of his anatomy has fared worse than others.
I don't know, what are you talking about? I broke my nose 6, 7 times. I stopped counting. I had 2 nose surgery, believe it or not. They tried to fix it. They brought it back, but it takes like a full year without contact on it to heal. Guess what? The next year, I got punched in the face again. Went on this side. I give up on surgery. I'm gonna wait after my career and get it fixed for good.
He has a lot of scar in his face, so I don't want any more. But other than that, I know that he loves it, and he's gonna do it, even if I'm worried or whatever, so it's okay.
Concussions, however, are no laughing matter. And when Ian sustained another earlier this season, there was more to consider than just his career.
Well, put everything in perspective. You know, I had, for a month and a half, I was out this year with concussion, and it made me realize another thing. With the little one here and the other one on the way, it just kind of made me realize that my health is priority. I was, one thinking was hockey all the time. That was 24/7 all the time, and with him around, it's just like you get home and you forget about hockey, and it's good. It's good to forget about hockey. It's my job. It's my sport. That's what I love. But I want to be there for them, and they need me, and I need them too, and I need to be healthy to enjoy my life after hockey, and I think that's what they make me realize.
Laperrière's perspective on life may have been altered off the ice, but on the ice?
If I start playing my game, physical game, hitting guys and fighting, I'll be out of the league.
Players like Ian Laperrière, I mean, this is his kind of game. He's not going to take anything from anybody.
Come on, boys, just pick it up here.
To some, Laperrière's most dangerous weapon is his mouth.
I do talk quite a bit.
Wide! Wide! Wide!
Gets me going.
Go there, go there!
Gets the other team attention too.
What the? I know you're slow, but I'm slower than you.
I know I'm doing my job, or when you talk to a skilled player or any player out there, just try to get him off his game.
Kick it. Wanna go? You wanna go? Chicken.
I never go personal.
No sun in Detroit, nice. No sun in Detroit. What are you laughing at? Jump, jump, jump. Puck's right there, Scrappy. No, it's not. Too many men. Good hit, big fella.
I said a lot of stuff out there. Let's put it this way.
No stick! Oh, never mind. He's got it back now.
I don't remember everything I said.
His teammates aren't shy about yapping either when Laperrière's the target.
He's just so easy to pick on, and he's one of those really easy targets, He just takes everything seriously.
I'll go talk to you. He does have friends. Come on, Lappy. Have a good game, Lappy. Yeah, you've been playing great. You're doing good, Lappy. Everybody believes in you. You have a lot of friends. Come on, buddy. All right, I'll see you now. Hey, send someone, please.
I don't think I'm alone. I'm by myself in the gym.
All right, guys. Just us 3.
I'm by myself in the locker room. What's going on here? Like, what a loser. Nobody wants to be around here.
Yeah! Woo-hoo!
All kidding aside, Laperrière really does have the respect of his peers.
How dedicated is it to the game he is to his teammates, and he will protect anybody on his team.
When I do that for them, they come up and they make sure I know it's appreciated. And if I walk in the room after a fight or whatever, they'll let me know on the bench or whatever. It's not an easy job, that part of the game, but somebody's got to do it. It's great to score goals.
Laperrière shoots, he scores! For Laperrière,
goals in his last 8 games.
But it's rewarding too to play physical and do that kind of job for your teammates.
Everyone appreciates the hard work from you, Laperrière.
What is the code?
Well, I think it's probably different for everybody.
You ask for no quarter and you give none.
You know, don't hit a guy while he's down.
Rarely, if ever, do I throw the first punch.
No punching after the linesmen get in.
You try not to grab a guy at the end of the shift.
You know, that's it. It's over.
It is one of hockey's great paradoxes. In a game where intimidation and aggression play vital roles are the concepts of code, honor, and respect.
You know, I think that the one thing that people don't fully understand about the role is there's more honor to it than you recognize at first blush.
If a fighter's hands are hurt, for example, he will tell a guy, I can't go tonight, which is remarkable to me. There is a code, and when the fight is ready to stop, it stops. You almost don't need linesmen.
You never take advantage of another guy if he's in a tough spot, if he's got a sore hand, or he's just roughed up in any way, or if it's just not the right time. You don't jump a guy, you just don't take advantage of another individual in that circumstance.
Today, Stu Grimson is a law student at the University of Memphis. Time and distance have given him a unique perspective on the life he once knew as one of hockey's most feared enforcers.
Hockey, fighting, it's part of the game, but it's not carried over. He said there's no hatred of the other man. And Stu Grimson was a very religious man, and he felt that fighting still could be balanced into his religion, because he said, you know, a fighter is a protector, and if you're a Christian, as I am, he said, who better to protect someone than a Christian?
A lot of us that do or have done that, we know one another, and we know each other on a personal level, which you might think kind of takes away from it, but it's quite the opposite, because when we're on the ice, it's all business. And the neat part is, when it's all said and done out there, it's left there, it's forgotten there, and that's where it remains. You could see those guys on a personal level outside the game, and it was like it never happened. In fact, it was almost like you had this rapport because it did happen.
They could have 2 fights in this game, probably still go out together afterwards.
No, you're right. They both understand the job that they're supposed to do once the puck drops.
Early on in my career, I fought Stu Grimson quite a few times, and then we ended up being teammates in Anaheim. He was the first guy that I gravitated to, the first guy I got along with, and certainly there's that respect or some kind of bond, I guess, that you, just from battling somebody over and over again, that you have this instant bond.
One time, Stu Grimson was telling me he was in a battle with Jimmy McKenzie, and at one point, as they were brawling, he said, "You had a little Italian for lunch today, didn't you, Jimmy?" And McKenzie apologized in a fight because he realized he had garlic breath, and they were battling, and they were in close quarters. And again, you know, it seems silly, but I think that explains the culture of the sport, that these guys are great guys that just, you know, they have to fight. That's part of their game.
And nowhere is the measure of these men seen more clearly than when the game is left behind.
The guys that I've known over the years, the guys that I played with, and the tough guys that I continue to cover and to meet are, generally speaking, the nicest people you can run into.
There we go. All right, enjoy the game, okay? All right, bye. Nice to meet you.
Keep the Ducks, please.
I will work on that.
Thank you.
Nicest guys in the league. And, you know, those are the guys I'd love to have living next door to me, or the guys that I'd love to invite to my barbecue. They're incredible human beings. Darren McCarty in today's game, you know, another example of that.
You had to work hard to get here, work hard to stay here, but you sort of appreciate along the way, and it's just, it makes you feel good to give back.
I think the bottom line, when you get it down to the foundation, all the tough guys are sacrificing themselves for the team, and they realize everything they do is to make sure their teammates are safe. It's to protect their teammates, and I think that carries through off the ice too.
They're always the first guy to volunteer to go visit sick kids.
They're polite, they're giving.
They're the first guy to get involved in charity because they are fighting not for themselves, but for the logo, for the team, for smaller teammates. And this is what makes them so extraordinary as human beings.
Did you see that? Oh, what a hit! Wow, did he get set strong? You don't know what your power has done to me. I want to know with the heel inside. You'll never know why your face has haunted me. My very soul is to bleed this time.
That's gotta hurt. Goodness, what a hit.
Somebody get the number of that truck.
The role that Eric has is twofold. He's a fifth, sixth defenseman. He's used to kill penalties. He's used on a regular shift. They're not afraid to put him out doing important things. But he is a very respected physical player in the NHL.
I just do what I got to do out there. I want to win, you know, do whatever it takes.
Eric Cairns lights a fire under this crowd.
It's important for a team to have a physical player. If not, the other team's going to take liberties against some of your smaller, more skilled players. Guys like me can go out and get a little bit of a spark sometimes and also protect those guys so they can.
I used to sit there and look, you know, not being a good player, but I'd sit and look at our dressing room thinking, you know what? 2 or 3 of our guys are sitting there, they're going over the other roster. They're not worrying about the scorers. They're not worried about the penalty killers. They're going over, who do I have to go with tonight? Who do I have to drop the gloves with tonight? Who's in this lineup tonight? That's a tough way to make a living. That is a tough way to make a living.
Perhaps the toughest way to make a living anywhere, and why those who answer the call receive the highest honor in sports, the respect of their peers.
The other guys in the team, they know how valuable they are, and I think they're really revered by their teammates, if for no other reason, because it's scary to do what they do.
Well, those guys, I feel they have the toughest job in professional sports.
To me, I can't think of a less enviable position to be in than a tough guy in the NHL.
Imagine if you're a school kid and you go to class knowing when the bell rings at 3 o'clock, you've got to take on the school bully. And it weighs on players. It's an extremely difficult job, not only physically, but mentally, because it wears on you.
That's a difficult question for me because I haven't done what they had to do, and if I did, I would be afraid too, and I think most players are.
I think they're all afraid because you never know. There is that fear that probably motivates them in the fight is like, hey, I don't want to be embarrassed first of all. I don't want to be physically injured. So I think they'd be lying if they said they weren't. There wasn't an element of fear involved. I think these guys are all scared to a certain degree.
Fear. It's the most dreaded word in an athlete's vocabulary. For each man, how he deals with fear as he enters the arena is as personal as his choice of sticks and skates.
It's good to be scared, you know? Gets the adrenaline going and gets you, make sure you're ready.
No, you can't be intimidated. If you already go into a game scared, you're not going to help yourself out very much.
Scared is not a good thing. You get a little nervous, that's fine. Scared, no.
If you're a hint of a inkling scared, you're gonna get driven out pretty quick.
You know, your fear can drive you too. Your fear can, you know, push you in the right direction, and you know, you're so afraid of losing or so afraid of being in the fight that you do okay. So it's not necessarily always a bad thing.
On the ice, every gladiator has come face to face with the enemy.
I'm not afraid to say it. You know, I've been afraid before. When you get guys much bigger than you, Bob Probert.
And Laperrière in a headlock with Probert.
Chatted with me, he wanted to hurt me. And, you know, he's a scary man, and you get more and more of those big guys, and those guys are, you know, I'll do that job, but I know my limits. I mean, I'm not a big guy, I'm 200 pounds. Those guys are in another league of their own.
Playing St. Louis. First shift of the game, Bill Lindsay dropped me a pass, and I scored.
Lets it go, the big 6'6", 21-year-old.
His first goal in the NHL, I was all pumped. Coach took me off, gives me a tap on the shoulder, you're back on, and I looked over. Damn, Tony twist. You know, I'll be the first to admit, it was the only time I think in my career where the knees were knocking a little bit. You know, he was a tough man.
Dave Schultz told me one time that
He wouldn't look at the schedule because he was afraid he'd see the Boston Bruins on there. And he knew that if he saw the Bruins coming up 2 weeks out, he wouldn't sleep for 2 weeks because he knew he'd end up battling with Terry O'Reilly.
In the end, it's the internal struggle that may be more important than any battle ever fought on the ice.
You know, who's gonna be the guy to go there? Who's gonna be scared? Who's not gonna be scared? Who's gonna overcome that fear?
They really have to be able to put their fears in perspective and control them. Dave Schultz taught me one thing: courage isn't an absence of fear. Courage is how you deal with your fears. And the guys that are the toughest players and the toughest gladiators really have those two things in perspective: fear and courage.
Be up.
That's just flat out awesome.
You know a guy got hit hard when it hurts you.
Oh my goodness, this is fabulous.
Hey, if you want excitement, this is what it's all about.
Everybody knows what their role is. To be successful, you have to have different kinds of players and different kind of roles to fill.
Seriously, don't hit him again.
You know, if you compare it to the Army, you know, you got to have your grunts. You know, you can't all be snipers and you can't all be five-star generals. It's real. I've got numerous scars and stitches to prove it. You know, the bottom line is to win. That's what it's all about.
If the bottom line is winning, then by any measure, the Wings are a success. Hockeytown celebrated 3 championships in 7 years, and rarely has someone so tough played so pivotal a part.
You're gonna hit somebody, hit him.
My first year in the league was 93, 94. A lot of times when you're breaking into the league, you want to sort of establish yourself and earn a spot. I mean, that's how I earned a spot on this team.
You know, he started his career out as a guy who was just looking for fights every time he was on the ice.
To be able to do this, you got to have a big heart, you know, because you got to believe in bigger picture outside of yourself. You got to be, you know, you're willing to go out and get banged up and bleed and, you know, knocked around a few times for a bigger purpose.
I think a tough team or a team that sticks together is a lot better than leaving the onus all on one guy to take care of business. But Darren, certainly if you look at our team, he's our go-to guy as far as, you know, the fists go.
McCarty embraced the role from his first days in Detroit. In 1997, he answered the bell as the Wings made a stand against the Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche.
Now Darren McCarty.
It's more of a passion thing. It's something that you live and you believe in. You know, it goes beyond being your job. It's all about team, and it's all about the bond you have with your teammates.
Did you guys have to go on the ice looking for something to happen, or did you have to just wait to see how this developed?
You got to understand, hockey's a high-intensity game, and you know we don't go planning on doing that. You're not going to take it away from a game. We're not just not going to go out and you know, seek retribution for a shift and, you know, do something stupid.
That set the tone for that whole year. It brought the team together. It showed that, you know, we're not going to be pushed around. He stood up, Vernon stood up, Shanny stood up. Everyone grew together that game, and I think that just carried us on to our first cup.
But not before McCarty put the exclamation point on a final sweep.
Darren McCarty comes back to Nino in front of him. McCarty draws. McCarty in. McCarty scores! A magnificent goal!
You couldn't write a better script. I mean, it's still unbelievable, and when you think about it a lot of times, and I always say that everybody, you know, probably has an out-of-body experience. You know, mine was at just the perfect time. It's funny how things happen, you know, because that was the year, the summer before, you know, I went 2 weeks and skated in Sweden and worked with a guy named Thomas Storm and did the training camp over there and got a 2-week start to it. And, you know, that move was a move that, you know, he had you work on.
That goal made the Wings champions and McCarty the envy of enforcers everywhere.
When you see these guys that you compete against and maybe battle, and they do that, a little part of you wishes that you were in that guy's skates at that time.
You know, I just got chills. That's the greatest compliment that can be paid to you by your peers.
As long as he plays, Darren McCarty will understand his role on the ice without ever being limited by it.
Mac is a good hockey player, but he also knows his role. He knows if Stevie gets hit. He knows if Nick gets hit. He's going to be the first one to step in. And if he's not going to step in, he's going to be on the bench vocal enough that players around him hear him, see that he's willing to do it, and they're going to do it too.
He doesn't go looking for a fight in a game, and if it happens, it happens. And he's done it enough in his life and his career to know he's ready for it. But his mind is on the game, and his focus is on playing hockey. And that's the advantage of a tough guy becoming a valuable, contributing player to the game, not just fighting.
Here's McCarty. Now it's Draper towards McCarty again. He scores. Second goal of the night for Darren McCarty.
When it gets down to it, you'd like to be able to have that guy, trust that guy in almost any situation, and yet he can respond physically to almost any situation too, so that's a rare blend of player.
Being tough and being physical is more nowadays playing the body, making it tough for great players in this league to skate, you know, guys who go to the net, making them pay a price, you know, all those little things like that, you know, win you a hockey game.
Other players don't take liberties on us when Darren's in the lineup, but also guys like Fish and Shanny, it's a little easier for them to play the game because they've got more help back there now. And it's always team toughness, but you've got to start, someone's got to be at the top, and that's Mac right now for us.
The presence of fighting in hockey has evolved over the years, from the days when benches emptied regularly and wars on the ice threatened to tarnish the sport.
Back then the rules were, remember, a little looser. Third man in didn't even count. I mean, third man in was you're counted slow, getting into one of the straps. And when a bench clearing was, you didn't want to be the last guy off the bench because your teammates didn't talk to you for 2 days after that, and there was nothing to deter it.
When the bench is empty, whether you want it or not, you're in it. And that's something that doesn't happen today. So that's one of the big changes in today's game.
We cleaned up that part of it. Now it's a little more face on face, drop the gloves, get it done, matter of fact.
It's an honest stand-up. I'm looking at you, you're looking at me. Let's go. Let's make sure we help both of our teams, and sometimes everyone realizes that's a role to be played.
You know, it's one job I wouldn't want to have is, you know, their job. They don't, you know, get the recognition or the paycheck that they deserve, but it's the toughest job in hockey.
There's also been another shift that speaks to the value of enforcers that are a part of each NHL team.
The biggest thing these days is you can't just be an enforcer anymore. Years past, there were plenty of players that would get signed, and that's what their role was. The way the game is played now, you have to be more than just an enforcer. You've got to be able to play the game somewhat.
I think the hard part, and most tough guys will tell you this, is you don't want to be this guy that just rolls off the bench and goes out and fights, comes back, he plays 3, 2, 4 minutes, whatever it is. You want to prove yourself as a player. You know, when games are really tough and games are rough, yeah, you're going to be there and you're going to stand up for your teammates and you're going to be one of the guys. But maybe the next night the team you're playing is not so tough, and you want to be a part of that. You want to be out there then, proving that you still belong on the ice and you can still play.
And while the fighting itself may not be personal, the role is. And to a man, each player that does it for a reason.
There's times in my career where I didn't exactly like doing what I did. mostly when I was younger. And as you get older, you realize that you're more important than you think you are, and it's more important to be that type of player, and you have to fit into a role on a team in order for you to have success in hockey. I think that's where I started realizing that it was more important, and I took more pride in it.
A couple of years ago, I would do it just to make a name for myself, I guess. Now it's more like for a purpose. You make sure they know you're there all the time. They come up and they make sure I know it's appreciated. It's not an easy job, that part of the game, but somebody's got to do it.
You know, the bottom line is to win. To be successful, it's not about personal goals, it's about team goals. And sometimes that means you got to get your nose in there. Sometimes that means it's sticking up for a teammate. Sometimes it means turning a cheek or, you know, sucking some things up. So, you know, it's all about winning.
You know, there isn't a day that goes by that I'm not thankful for where I'm at. When I first came in, I felt I could play. I was a defenseman, but I never got that opportunity. I don't sit here saying that I'd be winning a Norris Trophy. I'm just thankful I got that opportunity to stay in the NHL, to play in the NHL. And it's awesome. I love battling, I love working, and I love being around the guys and going to the rink every day.
At its core, hockey is a physical sport, one that demands character and toughness in every game, on every shift.
If there's no warrior in you, you're never going to be able to survive and succeed in the National Hockey League.
But enforcers are a breed apart, even from their teammates. Theirs is a role that requires a courage few can imagine and a toughness that transcends sport.
I think there's actually an honor amongst the tough guys, and it's an honesty. It's almost as if there's a set of values and principles which is, it seems, in contradiction with what they do. It's almost gladiator-like, or I can picture them as two guys on horses jousting, you know, one another. It's almost as if they should have existed hundreds of years ago because of the code of honor that they have.